Hawaii is losing its people faster than ever. 13,000 left in just 1 year, in fiscal 2019. Yes, you heard that right. Locals work 2 jobs and still can't afford rent, while millionaires take over their neighborhoods. What happens when the place you love becomes a place you can't afford to live? Drastically, the cost of living is 88% higher than the US average, and homes now sell for $800,000. Families who have lived here for generations are being forced to leave. Expensive apartments and resorts keep growing, while the people who built Hawaii are being pushed out. Paradise is still here, but not for the locals who call it home.
Thousands of miles away from their ancestral lands.
This is our land. It was stolen from us in 1893. We're the indigenous peoples that belong here, yet we can't even afford to be here.
In this video, we're diving deep into why Hawaii has become impossible to live in. From real estate takeovers to supply chain disasters, we'll break down the hidden forces pushing locals out. Starting with the high prices. The cost of living in Hawaii is crushing the middle class. What feels like poverty here would be a comfortable life on the mainland. Families work multiple jobs just to survive, but even then, it's not enough. In fact, Hawaii has the highest cost of living in the US, with an index of 188.4 and median home prices around $800,000. A $150,000 salary in Hawaii stretches as far as $75,000 on the mainland. If you're not already a millionaire, life here means sacrificing comfort, savings, and sometimes even a place to live. And it's not just rent or mortgages. Groceries, gas, and utilities drain paychecks even faster. Almost everything is shipped in, making prices skyrocket. A simple Walmart trip costs nearly 34% more than anywhere else in the US. A $10 fast food meal on the mainland, it's $15 here. Also, the worst part is that even the basics, water, electricity, everyday needs, come at a price that keeps climbing. The result is that more locals are packing up and leaving. They love their home, but they can't afford to stay. Working endless hours just to get by leaves no time for family, no savings, and no future. As they go, communities start disappearing, schools shrink, small businesses close. The islands don't feel the same, and it's only getting worse. Prices keep rising, and natural disasters like the Lahaina wildfires push people further into crisis. After the fires, rents in Lahaina jumped 40%, forcing even more families into homelessness. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about survival. Along with this, owning a business in Hawaii isn't just hard, it's a battle. The cost of everything is higher, from rent to supplies, and strict regulations make things even harder. The market is small, and competition is tough. Locals support local businesses, but earning that trust takes time. And time is something that most business owners don't have when every bill is double what it would be on the mainland. Anyhow, some businesses survive, but it takes everything: money, patience, and a whole lot of luck. And when money is already stretched thin, even for regular families, it's no surprise that many people don't even try. Well, the financial strain doesn't stop at businesses. Families trying to raise kids here face another impossible hurdle: education. Hawaii's public schools often rank near the bottom of the country, leaving many parents with no choice but to turn to private schools. But that comes with a massive price tag. Tuition can hit $20,000 per year per child, a cost that's simply out of reach for most working families. For parents already juggling multiple jobs just to afford rent, paying for private school isn't even an option. And when it comes to choosing between staying in Hawaii or giving their kids a better future elsewhere, many make the painful decision to leave. Even for those who want to stay, making a living here is a constant struggle. Wages in Hawaii are much lower than on the mainland, even for skilled workers. People expect high costs, but what they don't expect is how little they'll earn. It's a brutal mix: big city expenses with small town wages. No matter how hard people work, it's rarely enough. That's why so many take on multiple jobs, sacrificing time with family just to keep up. And when the paychecks don't stretch far enough, the decision becomes clear: stay and struggle, or leave for a chance at something better. The people in Hawaii can relate to this. Imagine working 2, maybe 3 jobs. You barely sleep. sleep. You miss family dinners, birthdays, moments that matter, just to keep up. And after all that, you still can't afford a home. That's the reality for people in Hawaii. Homes cost nearly $1 million, and even a tiny flat is out of reach. Rent is crushing, but buying? Impossible. Locals whose families have been here for generations are being priced out. Out-of-state buyers turn homes into vacation rentals, while the people who actually live here struggle to find a place to call their own. Families squeeze into tiny apartments, live with relatives, or leave the islands entirely. They don't want to go, but what choice do they have? And if you somehow manage to stay, life doesn't get easier. You spend hours stuck in traffic, just trying to get to work. A short drive turns into an endless crawl because there's only one highway, and one accident can shut everything down. Some people wake up at 5 a.m. just to get to work on time. They sacrifice sleep, family time, and peace just to make a paycheck that still isn't enough. Living close to work means higher rent. Working close to home means lower wages. There's no winning. You're stuck, exhausted, and drained before the day even begins. And at the end of it all, you come home knowing tomorrow will be the same. No doubt, Hawaii is expensive. Too expensive. Groceries? A constant struggle. Gas? A nightmare. And eating out? Forget about it. There aren't enough stores, not enough options. The big companies know it. They set the prices, and people have no choice but to pay. No competition means no relief. Small businesses, once the heartbeat of the islands, are disappearing. High rent, high taxes, impossible regulations. One by one, they shut down. Every time a local shop closes, a piece of Hawaii is lost. In its place, chain stores that don't care about the people, only their profits. People work harder and take on second, even third jobs. They budget, they sacrifice, and still, it's not good enough.
Well, I've been really fascinated by the life that you guys live in Hawaii. That it's because I've always had this like idealized idea, like one day, like move to the Big Island, just chill on the side of a mountain, stop fucking around, fly out to do gigs, but live out there where everything's just more relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, is it okay?
You know, there's a lot going on, and like the Big Island is obviously big.
That's a city.
Yeah, no,
Almost.
it's big.
Well, not the Big Island.
Yeah,
rather.
Oahu has, it's sort of like LA on the beach, but
Yeah.
you know, there's a couple things. I think because it is a primal environment, like we live on Kauai, which is pretty heavy duty as far as it's quiet. There's not a lot of distraction. There's a really heavy duty nature. And so I grew up in St. Thomas on the Virgin Islands. So I was used to kind of being on an island, but you're with yourself a lot. So if you have things to do that are, you know, productive, then it's perfect. But what you have to always calibrate is like the downtime, or it's been raining off and on for like over a year on Kauai. You know, there's not a ton of opportunities there. It's hard to live there. It's far away. It's expensive. And sometimes, you know, it sounds cliche, but it's like we really do as human organisms either need to be busy. So like, okay, working from sunup to sundown for our food, which is how it used to be. And then you're just so tired, you just go to bed and it's pretty simple and let's just survive it. Or in the world that we live in now, it's like, how do we get people doing things that are kind of productive?
And here comes the job market. Finding a good job, nearly impossible. Tourism runs Hawaii, but it's unstable. One global crisis and the entire economy crashes. It happened in 2020. Hotels empty, restaurants closed, thousands out of work. It recovered, but the foundation is weak. Another disaster and the cycle repeats. Outside of tourism, options are limited. Manufacturing, almost non-existent. Tech, barely growing. Most jobs are in the service industry. Low pay, long hours, no future. The median income sounds decent on paper, but in reality, it barely covers the basics. And what about taxes? They take whatever's left. Hawaii's general excise tax makes everything more expensive. Property taxes may be lower, but with home prices through the roof, it doesn't matter. Owning a home is a distant dream for most. This isn't just an economic crisis. It's a slow erasure of a way of life. However, for those who weren't born here, the struggle goes goes even deeper. You can live here for decades, raise a family, and be part of the community, but you'll always be a mainlander. The history of Hawaii's land runs deep, and for native Hawaiians, it's personal. Their home was taken from them, and now they're watching it slip away again, this time to wealthy outsiders. Hawaii has a strong, unique culture. The way people work, the way they build relationships, the way respect is given, it's different. Some adapt, some never do. And for many who come from the mainland, the feeling of being an outsider never really goes away. Above all, Hawaii doesn't just struggle with local issues. Global tensions hit hard too. Sitting in the middle of the Pacific, it's a military hub, a tourist destination, and completely dependent on imported goods. When international conflicts shake things up, Hawaii feels it first. Most of the food, gas, and everyday products come from the mainland or overseas. When trade wars happen, when shipping slows down, when relations with China or other countries get complicated, prices jump. It's already expensive to live here. Every disruption makes it worse. When the US-China trade war happened a few years ago, the cost of imports rose fast, making basic groceries even more unaffordable. Tourism took a hit too. Fewer visitors, fewer jobs, less money flowing through local businesses. The military presence here is big, and federal spending helps keep some jobs stable, but even that isn't guaranteed. If priorities shift and budgets shrink, jobs disappear. Hawaii doesn't have many backup options. When one part of the economy takes a hit, everything else feels the impact. Even with stores like Costco, Hawaii still struggles with food variety. Choices are limited. Fresh fruit? Not really. Local pineapples, bananas, and papayas are great, but if you want peaches or berries, good luck. They're either underripe, overripe, or ridiculously expensive. Some fruits only taste good for a couple of weeks out of the year. Beyond this, restaurants aren't much better. If you love Asian food or fresh seafood, you're set. But if you're craving a good pizza, a real Italian meal, or something like a Philly cheesesteak, almost impossible. There are a few options, but not enough. You end up going to the same places over and over, or just giving up on finding something new. In the end, I must say, Hawaii is a dream, but only if you're visiting. Living here is something else entirely. Between high prices, job struggles, global economic shifts, and even limited food choices, everyday life feels like a constant challenge. The islands are beautiful, but for the people who call them home, survival gets harder every day. So what's next for Hawaii? With costs soaring and locals struggling, the state is at a turning point. Will things improve, or will paradise become out of reach? If this video gave you something to think about, hit like, drop a comment, and share it with others. More eye-opening content is coming soon. Stay tuned.